Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I'm 23 years old. I live in Manila, Philippines. I want to share my story with you about my life as a freelancer here in the Philippines. I worked on the streets of Makati and Angeles City where I would meet and date foreign men. They would compensate me for the time I spent with them. I competed with many pretty ladies in Angeles City bars and some of them became my friends. But let me tell you how I went from a nice simple girl to a woman who lived a crazy life entertaining men. I grew up here on the streets of the city where people struggle to earn a little money for life and the rain soaks them as they work in the afternoon. I'm just a simple girl with less than a high school education, but I studied hard, consider myself a good learner. I work at a call center now talking to people from America about their online purchases. Filipina girls work much cheaper than American girls. So there is lots of opportunities in this industry for many girls. But today, I want to tell you my story, the real one, not the pretty version I tell my mom or my brothers and sisters. This is about how I became a freelancer for a while, renting time with men for money. I did it for almost 3 years, and it changed me in ways I never expected. I'm sharing this because I want other girls like me to hear it, to think twice before they say yes to that first offer. And maybe for the guys listening, well, I hope it makes you see us not just as playthings for your enjoyment at night, but as real people with hearts that can break. Let me start from the beginning. When I was little, life was okay. My dad was a driver for a small company, and he used to bring home meat from the market after work. He'd laugh and tell me it was our special treat and I should eat it hot. I was his favorite child, I think, because I looked like him with my curly hair and big smile. But when I was 10, everything fell apart. My dad had a heart attack one night while driving home. He crashed into a wall and he died instantly. My mom cried for weeks. She was only 32 with four kids, me, my two younger brothers, and my baby sister. We had no money saved. We lived in a small house with a tin roof that leaked when it rained. Mom tried so hard. She washed clothes for neighbors, sold cigarettes and candy from a sari-sari store in front of our house. But it wasn't enough to survive. We ate rice with soy sauce most nights, and sometimes I'd go to school hungry. My brothers got into fights because they were angry all the time, and my sister was always sick from lack of food. I was the oldest, so I stopped playing with my friends after school. I would help my mom fold laundry until late in the evening. She'd hug me tight and say I was her strong girl. But I saw the worry in her eyes. We were poor, real poor. My brothers did not have their own shoes. They had to take turns wearing them. I quit high school when I was 16 years old. I was a good student. I loved English class and dreaming about going to far places like America or Europe. So I sacrificed my education because we needed money. My mom got a job cleaning offices downtown, but she had a bad back and was always in pain. I started at Jollibee, the fast food place. I wore a red and yellow uniform, smiling at customers even when I was tired from standing 10 hours a day. My salary was 300 pesos a day, about $5. It was enough for rice and maybe some eggs, but not much else. After a year, I got a job at a small restaurant in Quezon City as a waitress. Sometimes I would get tips from office workers getting their lunch, I'd flirt with the men a little, telling them how good they looked in their dress clothes, and they'd laugh and leave an extra 50 pesos. You have to use all the little tricks to make extra money. I worked 12 hours a day for very little money, and I was always exhausted. That's how my life was until I was 20 years old. I was always dreaming of something more, but too tired to go after it. Then one rainy day, everything changed for me. I was working at a different restaurant near the mall. A foreign man walked in. He was tall with blonde hair and blue eyes, like the sky after a storm. He was maybe 40 years old, dressed nicely in a button-up shirt and blue jeans. His name was Henry and he was from Germany. He was alone and looked at the menu with confusion. I went over and greeted him and asked what he wanted to order. He smiled at me so nicely. It was a warm smile, like he really saw me as a person. Not just as a waitress, but as Maria the person. He introduced himself and said it was his first time there. Then he asked me what was good. His English had a thick accent. I had to listen carefully. I recommended the spicy pork with onions. He ordered it with a San Miguel beer. While he waited for his food, we talked. He was in Manila for business for 3 weeks. He asked about me, where I live, if I like the city. No one ever did that. Customers were usually not friendly and only stared at their phones. But Henry listened. He complimented my eyes, saying they were like dark chocolate, and said my laugh made him feel good inside. My cheeks burned. I hadn't heard words like that since high school boys told me sweet things. He made me feel special, like a beautiful woman. When his food came, he ate slow and asked me many more questions. He wondered if I dream of traveling, mentioning that Germany had castles and snow in winter. I laughed. I told him I'd never left Manila and the traffic was my biggest adventure. He paid for his food and left me a big tip, 500 pesos. He invited me for dinner the next day after my shifts. My heart was beating hard. A handsome foreigner wanted to know me. I said yes before I could think. Our date was simple. We met at a small cafe in the mall. We had a nice modest dinner. We walked around and he took me by my hand. He told stories about his life in Europe, eating sausages at festivals. I told him about my family, skipping the sad parts. He listened carefully to everything I said. He said I was strong, like a flower growing in the concrete. Late in the evening, we ended up at his hotel bar. It was a nice place that was air-conditioned with soft lights. We drank rum cokes. It was my first time with this alcohol. I felt dizzy and very happy. It was like a movie. Around midnight, he walked me to the door so I could catch a grab taxi. He told me he didn't want to end this night with me. He asked me to stay with him for the night. My heart was really beating fast. I thought he meant talk more and cuddle maybe. But then he pulled out his wallet. He offered me 4,000 pesos, about $80, just for my company. I was shaking. I knew what that meant. Girls at the restaurant talked about it. Working as freelancers, making quick cash with tourists. I judged them in my head. I used to think it was easy money. But now, here it was. I had an offer for quick, easy money to be with an attractive and very nice man. I thought of my mom working hard to pay for the electric bill. My sister was always sick. The ache in my bones from 12-hour shifts. Henry was gentle, handsome, and he offered me $80. I had to work 2 weeks for this amount of money. I whispered my agreement in his ear. We went up to his room. It was clean, big bed with white sheets. He was kind and very gentle. He touched me like I was very fragile. This wasn't my first time with a man. I had a boyfriend in high school, but our times together were quick and awkward. But Henry was very experienced. He whispered German words to me that I didn't understand but felt like music. He did things with me that I have never had done before. I felt like a woman for the very first time in my life. I think you know what I mean. I wanted to feel this way each time I was intimate with a man. This is when the little girl inside me grew up and became a real woman. When morning came, Henry hugged me and gave me even more money. He said I was amazing and asked me to see him again. With the money I earned, I was able to buy a nice blue dress that I wanted for a very long time. I thought I looked so pretty in it, and I wore it each day when I was not working. Do you have any dating experiences with a Filipino woman? Did you ever have an arrangement where she would be a girlfriend with benefits? I would really like to hear from you in the comments section. I didn't plan to do this again, but a week later, another customer came in. It was an American man this time. He tipped big and asked me out for a date. I agreed and I said yes without hesitation. It was another amazing night with a handsome foreigner who made me feel like a woman. And just like that, I was in. Freelancing was now my new job. I quit the restaurant and I told my mom I got a better job working in Makati. She was proud of me, but I did feel some shame in not being honest with her. Makati was my first spot. I went to the fancy bars where expats and tourists went to meet women. I would dress simple with tight jeans and a loose top that showed a little skin. My hair was long and I always wore it down. And I always smiled at men when they looked at me. They all had so much money to waste. More money than I would ever have. I earned about 4,000 to 6,000 pesos a night, depending on the guy. Locals couldn't pay that. They wanted a girlfriend for free. But these men, most of them British, Australians, and Americans, saw me as exotic and fun. They'd say I was so tiny and sweet, and they would buy me drinks to get me interested in them. I always had some men competing with each other for my affections. I worked 3 to 4 nights a week. I started at 9 p.m. and was home by 9 or 10 in the morning. Angeles City became my other place of employment. Walking Street was alive with music and girls looking to make money. It felt much wilder and free-spirited there. I'd meet a guy at a bar and we would chat over pool or karaoke. If we clicked and if he was funny, clean, and not too drunk, we'd go to his hotel. I enjoyed it. These men taught me things I never imagined. One Italian guy who showed me tantric stuff, slow breathing, eye contact that made my skin tingle for hours. Another was a Swedish airline pilot. He loved to play with toys. I never played with these kinds of toys before. I wondered if I could really do that. But my curiosity won. It felt good, powerful even. Most of the men I met were nice. Some men were rude and just wanted to have their fun and finish with me quickly. I'd smile through it all and leave way before sunrise. The best part was traveling. Those men changed everything for me. The first one was with a Canadian man about 30 years old. We met in Makati. He was lonely and divorced. He invited me to Boracay for 1 week and offered 50,000 pesos, plus everything. I could not believe it. This would be the most money I ever made. I would see white sand beaches that I have only seen in photos. I said yes in a heartbeat. We flew there, and this was my first plane ride. He bought me some really nice bikinis. It was fun swimming in the ocean with his arms around me in the waves. At night, we walked onto the beach and found some really private places to stop and have a little fun with each other. It's exciting to make love to someone outside. He was gentle and he talked about his kid back home. I felt like a girlfriend, not a rental. I could have easily let myself fall in love with him. But I knew this was not a real relationship. It was only pretend. It was only for fun and pleasure. When we parted ways, he gave me some extra cash. He said it was for my dreams. After that, more vacations came. A 2-week Bali trip with a Dutch businessman. He paid 100,000 pesos and bought me a silver necklace that still sits in my drawer. I went to Bangkok and Pattaya, Thailand once with a Japanese man. One man from Texas in the USA bought me clothes for play. He dressed me as a Filipina maid and he was my boss. Then I was his Filipina nurse. I never did these things before. I learned I could feel things that excited me in different ways that I didn't know even existed. It was not very long ago that I was just a simple Filipina girl working as a waitress. I made a lot of money and I sent half to my mom. She thought I was traveling for my job. I was ashamed to tell her the truth. I bought my brothers new clothes and I even rented a tiny apartment for myself in Pasay for $120. No more did I need to share a room and no more leaky roof. I felt free and had my privacy. Men tipped extra if I listened to their stories about their bad wives and their jobs that they hated. I would tell them they were good men and gave them encouraging talk to improve their lives. And they felt good about being able to tell someone about everything they hated in their lives. I was like their psychiatrist. Then one night, all the good things I was experiencing came to an end. I was in Angeles City on a Friday night. I met this man at a club. He was British, about 50 years old. He was a loud man, but he seemed fun at first and bought me many drinks. He told me that he wanted me to be his girlfriend for the night and make him feel loved. We went to his room in a cheap hotel off of a walking street. Things started okay. He was nice and gentle. But then he changed. His voice became very rough. He was scaring me. Then he wanted to do things to me that I cannot discuss. I was not cooperating with him. He grabbed my wrist hard and it was really hurting me. He was a big man and was very strong. I have never been in this situation before. I begged him to stop, but he laughed at me. He ignored my cries. I could not fight back. When he was done, he fell to sleep. This was my chance to get out of there. I was crying and had tears running down my face. My makeup was smeared and I looked worse than I had ever looked before. I got a Grab motorbike and held onto the driver really tight. I was crying very hard and he was trying to help me feel better. The fear from this date was one of the worst things I have ever had in my life. There is no way for me to tell anyone about the terrible things that happened to me. I think if this man did not fall to sleep, he would have done much worse to me. This changed my life forever. It was the scare that woke me up. I quit being a freelancer that night. No more bars, no flirting with strangers, and no more late nights. But shame flooded my mind. What was I? How could I have given myself to strangers for money? My mom never suspected, and I am thankful she is a simple woman and does not understand life as I have learned it at this early age. I told her that my job ended and I went back to being a waitress. But men kept coming in and wanted to date me. I needed to change my life. I couldn't face mirrors for many weeks. I felt dirty even after baths. Thankfully, my friend from high school got me a job at a call center in Ortigas. It's 15,000 pesos a month, about $300. It's better than Jollibee, but still a tight budget. I now live with a female roommate in a one-room apartment. I watch every peso. There are no more trips, no fancy dresses, but I sleep at night and feel safe. I want to eventually meet a nice man and get married and have a family. I need to find real love in my life and not give my love to strange men for money. Money is nice to have, but getting money as a girlfriend is not a good way. I think this experience will help me when I do meet a good man that I want to marry someday. I will appreciate him for all that he is, knowing that getting involved with strangers who don't really love you is not a good life. I don't want to end up as an old lonely woman with nobody who cares for me. And I want to tell this to other Filipino girls. If you're struggling like I was, talk to someone. If you need to, your church will help you with your struggles with right and wrong. Save your money for school. Get an education and only chase real jobs. Don't let a smooth talking man with money influence you. They will only bring sadness to you. And guys, please treat Filipino women with respect. See the real loving women that we can be, not the fantasy. We're daughters and sisters, just like your daughters and sisters. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If you have any questions or experiences you would like to share with me, please let me know in the comments section. Stay safe out there, and I truly wish everyone well.